So if everyone else can just pop themselves on mute if you haven't already. Welcome everyone, hooray, we're all here in this big massive group. It's really exciting to see all your faces. Before we start, I just want to pay my respects to the traditional lands that we're on, to all the elders past and present. So today we're on a variety of different lands. We're on Whadjuk Noongar, Mummarimbinya, Noongar Budja, Paramank, Gadigal, Wurundjeri, Camaragal, Bunjalung, Neoni, I'm sorry about my pronunciation on a lot of these, Nipaluna, Gumbianinga, Yagal, Wurundjeri, Woomba and Kaurna. We live on some pretty amazing land at the moment, and I'm really lucky being in Perth that I'm able to access all of that land at the moment around me and spend some time with trees, and want to pay my respects for the custodians looking after it for so many thousands of years. This is our first Shifting and Stirring. This is kind of an initiative from Sydney Opera House, ArTELIER, Agua and Art Play, and maybe together. Just to understand where we're coming from, we wanted to create a space where there could be a bit more national discourse and sharing about what was going on across the sector, and to provide a bit of sharing around that, but also kind of insight and reflection. I don't really like using the term PD, but it is kind of within that bracket. But it's meant to be participatory and a way for us all to connect. It's a bit of an experiment. We just wanted to get it up and happening. So we're going to be really keen to hear your feedback and what you guys think would be the most useful way of doing this. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Simon, who from ArTELIER, which is based in Tasmania. They've been running a PD sort of program for artists for, he'll tell us. For a little while. I'll hand over to him anyway.
Thanks, Alex. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see everybody here. Yeah, we're just outside. I'm just outside Hobart. We're a Tasmania-wide group. I'm really got a great job today because I actually don't really have to do anything. It's actually the artists from this group who are going to be doing basically 2 presentations during the next couple of hours. Each one will allow some time for some group chats around it, the work they're doing, and a little bit of feedback at the end. And we're going to have a mini break right in the middle at 11 o'clock just to take a stretch break. And we are by no means are we saying this is the way to do this, or this is absolutely not what this work is about. We're all about exploring practice and sharing that practice. And I'll just very, very briefly show you the project that we are coming from. It's called ArTELIER. Here's the website. You can look us up. We are building the ecology of socially engaged artists in Tasmania. What are we? Well, it's a paid learning exchange. So the way this program works is artists who attend get paid to attend the professional development training program, which is kind of unusual. So we pay a $250 stipend a day for artists to come and in the past spend whole days, but right now if we look at our events, what we've moved to is half-day Zoom learning exchanges. So they can be on a range of subjects. The last one we just did was around a creative practice to manage trauma, loss and uncertainty. There's a whole range of them. We do them probably every couple of weeks at the moment. We're funded through OSCO and through Arts Tas. We have about 46 artists from across the state on the books, and not everybody comes every time. Just a few people come, 15 or 20 people each one, but it's about a connection and a community who want to improve their practice by sharing their practice. We run a few specific projects that then feed back into the learning. And you're going to hear about one of those, particularly today, a little bit of START, and the new one, Creative Encounters Online. Our objective is to develop a bit of a toolkit online for people who work in this area. And we really talk about this as being an intergenerational learning space. So we're not particularly children and families, but intergenerational. So that is about us. I don't think at this stage we can pay people who are not in Tasmania, sadly, but it would be nice to broaden the group here out. So what we've got today is some of our artists presenting two areas of work that they've done. And I'm going to hand over to them pretty quickly because they've got their session planned for you all. Kelly and Luke are going to come up first and talk about their work with Second Ensemble. And I think I'm just going to hand it over to you, Kelly and Luke, to lead this next session. So take it away.
Thanks so much, Simon. Lukey, do you want to unmute yourself?
I did.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, Luke and I are two artists from the Second Echo Ensemble. For those who aren't familiar, we're also based in Tasmania, have been working for about 15 years as a group, and most of the artists have been working together for that entire time. Luke and I are some of the new kids. We've only been there about 5 or 6 years of that long, beautiful history.
Yeah, and so I want to say my apology is from Monday.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, we're having some issues getting online, which is kind of what this session is about, which is perfect. Second Echo are an integrated ensemble of artists who identify as living with disability and those that don't. And we work collectively to create work and present across movement, theatre, storytelling, visual arts, and this year we seem to have sprung into music composing as we're going to press some vinyl, which we're pretty excited about. You can look up more about us if you like. It's an awesome ensemble. I feel absolutely privileged to be creative director for them right now, and further privileged to have funding from Arts Tasmania for both this year and next year, so that we can continue to pay our artists and continue to create work. And I think that becomes, the question of many of our ensemble are living with depressed immune systems, are vulnerable with small children at home, and or aging parents at home. So we went actually offline on March 10th out of our studio and came back into this Zoom world on March 11th, realizing that connection is essential. That in this time, I think what I've learned the most is that digital divide which we know is real, but I've actually felt it, that digital literacy and accessibility to technology, to NBN, the people without that in rural, regional, and socioeconomic circumstances are being left behind at a catastrophic rate. We've had ensemble members taken out of their living situations of which they've been in for 10 years, suddenly put back into their parents with no access to the technology that they need. We've been buying iPads and iPhones and shipping them all over Tasmania to try and keep people connected, buying data, buying Wi-Fi, and then Luke and I spending a lot of time with ensemble members with Facebook phones pointed at screens saying, yes, push that red button, trying to figure out how remotely we can even get that literacy to get people online, right, Luke?
Yeah, it is, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's been pretty challenging. So that being said, even then getting there has been part of the work, as I'm sure all of you have experienced. But we really, when we did get there, we spent a lot of time in the joy of seeing each other's faces again, and then trying to figure out how do we be together in this place, in this time, in that we can't be in the studio. A lot of our work, if you're familiar with it, is full contact. We're a high contact sport. So how do you get that embodied relationship with somebody with this screen in the way? And we realized that we had to think really differently and not try and do our work in the studio, in our room, looking at a camera, but create a whole new way of working.
Yeah.
Which is not, it's not new, but it was new to us. And so what Luke and I were thinking is that we, in the world of Second Echo, you can see there's two of us because we never go anywhere alone. And we actually, one of the things we have devised, Simon, if you can help us here, I'm going to log in twice. Because what we've learned is you can't run these sessions alone. Often there needs to be two of one person. So you'll now see my living room just added to your section. There's a nice, beautiful fireplace there, a photo of my son Jack above it, lots of tchotchkes as it's coming in. So I often, or whoever is leading our session, will have 2 cameras going. One is the full body shot, a la the fireplace, and that one is always on mute. And then one is the close-up, so that as we move, we can see both. And in some full contact sports, we've tried to get several people doing this at the same time. So if I'm leading a physical workshop, I can see the full body and not just worry about what's happening outside of that screen. So that's one of our tactics to get it started. And the other is to really figure out what is this square. So we play games. So you're going to play these games with us. And so you can actually just feel it. It's silly, it's fun, do as much or as little as you want. The first thing that we will usually do is figure out where we are and who is here with us. So I might say there is 2 ways to do this. You can either just duck out of your screen and come back. You can actually walk away from your screen, or if there's mobility and challenges in your room, you just move your screen and bring it back to you. Everyone just practice figuring out how you can be in or out of your screen. Any way you like. You can move it, you can duck, you can move dramatically, or you can just walk away and feel the difference in your body and in your space when you're in or you're out. Luke, can you show me out of your screen, please?
Cool.
Yeah, so it could take some navigating, it could take some time. So we're going to clear a path so you can easily get in and out. Fantastic.
Like this.
That is beautiful. Thank you, sir. And you can come back in. Great. So now we're going to devise a series of questions to figure things out. So there are yes or no questions, either I'm in the square or out of the square. So I would like anyone that is currently in their dining room to stay in their square. If you're not in your dining room or the equivalent, please leave your square. So in this collection of people, we see each other that we actually have a dining room, or we think we do. Yeah, this is the community of dining room havers. Awesome, everyone come back. Other things we might know are that I love being on Zoom. If you love being on Zoom, you can stay in your square. If you don't, you may leave it. Go. Beautiful, and you can come back. And we find that those kind of questions change every day, because some days it's awesome, and other days you are just so over it. Luke, what would you like to know about the people in our session today? Ask a question that has a yes or no answer, please.
Yes or no, if you are somewhere in a space, no. If you are in a space, no. Just say yes. Like if you're not in the space at all, say no.
So this is a fantastic second EchoS question. If you feel you are in your space, stay in the square. If you feel you are not in your space, leave it. Are we here? Ah, beautiful. Yeah, Luke, good question. Most of us are still in our room and we feel we're presently here. Okay, anyone, who else do we have here? Sue Giles, I haven't heard from you forever. What would you like to know about these people with a yes or no, in or out of the square option?
Okay.
You may unmute, yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Yes or no, in your space or out of your space. Okay. For all those who have a pet at home, stay in your square.
Oh, so we are the pet lovers. Awesome. And we've been getting a lot of extra walks. Fantastic. I love this. Beautiful. All right, come on back. The other thing that we do in Second Echo is we don't mute, regardless of how many people we have. All microphones are on at all time. And it's chaos and it's wonderful. And I think that is...
Can we try that?
Yeah, everyone turn your microphones on. Some spaces don't work very well. Freedom! We have a lot of noise. Everyone make some noise. Come on.
Lots of other people and lots of other
all
sounds.
say hello.
Noise.
Good being quiet.
Hello.
What we love about it is that philosophically, I have issues with even the word mute in our circumstance. That we are so often told we don't have a voice, or not to speak, or be quiet, or I don't understand you. That yeah, I just wish they'd relabel it. But then there's one, we went to Bluejeans, and instead of mute, they call it disable your sound. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's any better, right? So it just, the word in my head, I didn't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. So yeah, we're just on all the time. So feel free to come on in and out, however you please. If you feel you're getting too much noise or creating too much noise, then mute yourself for a while, or silence. But see, is there a better word? I'm not sure. Anyway, so we're going to have one more. Anyone, whoever calls out first, gets to ask a question, a yes or in or out answer, whenever you're ready.
He has a cup of tea.
Who has a cup of tea? If you're in the square, if you have tea, out the square if you don't. Excellent. I love that. I had coffee, but it's now cold. Fantastic. So the next part of our activity, this would go on for some time in Second Echo. We could play this game all day. It becomes very much about these small groups and recognizing and learning about each other in a different way. In the studio, we play this game by crossing the room. It's our kind of physical warm up. When you cross the room, if, then you cross the room, if. So in and out of the square, similarly, even if you're just moving your square, you're actually getting your body moving. It's a dance thing. I am a dancer, that's my first language. So a lot of this is based on that activity. The next little sample of stuff we're going to share with you, what we do is, again, going to that physical warm up of getting into our bodies, and as Luke said, into our space and making sure we're here. And so we've been playing with, again, learning the room that we're in so we can operate safely and we can move safely. But even more interesting is this space that we're in. So
yeah,
I started to play with, yeah, go Luke.
And also, so with the space, no, as you said, no, Carol, no, I say, if you have a chair, no, you don't need a chair, no, because you can move more freely, in the space.
Yep, definitely. A lot of what we do, we say bring a chair or not, bring a yoga mat or not, and anything that is offered can be done sitting, lying, or standing, in a wheelie, whatever situation you find yourself in. So I've kind of taken a riff on your basic jazz hands class. You know, has anyone ever done jazz dance? Put your hands up if you've had an experience. Musical theatre, I think they call that here. I know, didn't you love it? Aren't you so totally part of your world? So the jazz warm-up, of course, is isolation, which seems beautifully appropriate at this time. But instead of isolating, just your head, just your shoulders, only in your body, we're going to do that in the square as well. So get yourself comfy, take a deep breath in and out. I'm just going to find us a little bit of music, because you can't do jazz dance without music. And I need a request from somebody. What song do you absolutely have to dance to at this moment? Call it out.
I like the way you move.
I like the way you move. So I am now going into Google. This is a cover version, a song by the Jim All-Stars. Is that the one you're thinking? Or the Body Rockers?
I don't know.
We don't know. Well, we're just going to put it in, because I just work with Google Play. Sometimes we just put a word in. There's Crystal Pharaoh. That sounds like the one, doesn't it? Let's just try it. It's too short to suck, because it's only 3 minutes. Here we go. Oh, but wait, I can't share my screen. Can I, or can I? Let's see. Can you let me share my screen, please, Simon, or can you hear it? Simon?
You should be able to share your screen.
It says it's disabled by the host.
Simon, we had this happen at the workshop we were running on Monday with ArTELIER. We made the workshop facilitator run the co-host, and then she could do it. Oh, yes. If you could make me a co-host, that'd be awesome. Then I can do it. I'm listening to a kind of a groove. I don't think it's the one you were thinking of. It's kind of, I'm going to keep looking and see if there's a Cliff Richards in the Shadows. No, that's I Love You. That could be good.
Cliff Richards.
I know, why not? But it's not I Like the Way You Move at all. We love Google Play and technology. Let me see if I can share my screen yet. Yes, I can, thank you. Here we go, music sound, sharing. Okay, can you hear that? Thumbs up if you can. It's a low, gentle way to get started. Okay, so the first thing, we're going to start from the head and work our way down. Only your head can be in your screen. Isolate your head into your screen and have it do a little dance. Any way you like, but I don't want to see any part of your body but your head. And your head might find your way from one side of the other. It might make a circle of your screen. You might close up on a mouth, or a cheek, or a ear. There's no wrong way to do this, people. And no one can really see you because they're busy getting in their screens as well. Then we're going to move down to the shoulders, please. A little jazz isolation in the shoulders. Just your shoulder in your screen. Figuring out what dance it can do to dominate the screen. And into the other shoulder. Good. Then we're going to go down to the rib cage. How do the ribs want to dance in your screen? This gets very up there and personal. But again, don't worry. No one can see. Then you can adjust your camera or your screen to get down to the pelvis. Woo! Then you may sit again if you need, or get your legs in. How do you get just your legs in? Oh, that's a little hard to go. Legs in.
Oh.
What is the leg dance in this way? Show me your legs, Lizzie. You can do it. All the way down to the feet.
I'm on my bed.
Oh, thank you, and relax back. Find your way back to the center of your prayer. Woo! Thank you. That was crystal narrow. I like you on the move. You're on the bench? Beautiful. So how are we feeling? Are we in the body now? Excellent. So again, that may go on. We copy each other. We do waves of it. We send it through. It's really beautiful. We can also, of course, play with distance, as we just did already with the close-ups. And then we start finding what is the dance that's further away. If you could, if you're not tethered to your screen, or you can untether the screen, what happens if we then move far? So I'm going to put another song on, and we're just going to feel the difference. I don't think we need any more crystal, but thank you. We'll play left brain, right beat. Here we go. Just get away from your screen. Doesn't matter if you can't see me. I'm going to take my glasses off so I can't see you either. But see how far can you actually get from your screen and still feel any connection to it, but more importantly, to the others that are there. What is the impact of distance? And then how does it make you want to move? Any other sense of freedom? Or is it vulnerability when your whole body is potentially, for someone who might be beaming in, on display? Or for anyone who's choosing not to play the game? What is the possibility of a far reach from the screen, a far reach from each other? How does it make you want to dance? Again, you could be sitting, you could be lying, standing. Just have a little groove in the entire body. Beautiful. Then slowly but surely get that close-up lens, zooming in, and find your way in. You might be about halfway in now, so maybe you're visible from about the waist up. And figure out how wide, what does it take to reach from one side of your screen to the other? Your square, how wide is it when you're about halfway? Can you feel it? And then we're going to get a little bit closer, just close enough so you can see, hopefully cutting yourself off at about the waist, so we have a whole lot of half people. You can keep grooving or just standing, however you feel. Now I want you to choose one other person, they may or may not choose you, and you're going to complete their picture. So Luke, if you stay where you are, dancing, I'm going to then back up and see if I can create Luke's legs and show the whole world what his legs are doing while his body what he's doing. And you're just going to keep coming in and out and choose somebody that's in and then back up and see their legs. You're going to complete that picture. So you're either an upper body or a lower body. And by the time you get out, they might have gone, but it doesn't matter. You might choose the person that's right above your square or right below it. So you can draw it. Oh, that's amazing. Catherine and Grace, totally have it. That's in my makeup, it may not be in yours. Everyone's squares are in different places. One more time, if you haven't been a leg, be a leg. If you haven't been a body, be a body. And gently bring yourself back to about the middle of your square. The last kind of activity we're going to play with a little bit today is the moving through. What does it feel like if you move through your square from one side to the other? This is based on the beautiful modern dance history of Doris Humphrey. But there's power and understanding in crossing. And we can feel that when you see it. What happens if you go from a upstage to downstage or out the axis? And center, what does it feel like? Downstage left. And then crossing through. What happens if you fall in? Slow motion. What happens if you jump through? Darting. What happens if just one body part has a little dance all by itself? And then what happens if you stop worrying about you and your square, acknowledge that that is already inside of you, and you open up your eyes to others and respond any way you like. You might see something that you want to do, that you want to replicate, or that just inspires you. There's no right, there's no wrong. We just see things and respond. There's thousands of tiny little squares. If you're on a small device, you might have to swipe to see some new ones. Look for a new room, a new colored shirt. We can't read the names. To respond to. Beautiful. And the last dance we'll do to bring it down is just the hand dance. It's one of our favorites. Let just your hands fill your stage. This beautiful little rectangle stage that Zoom has given us. And where are your hands? What is the power, the communicator, the story that they can tell? Again, by themselves, but undeniably in relation to others, bringing yourself down. Beautiful, and find the ending to your dance. Are you in the square or out? Beautiful. 3, 2, 1. Scene. Give yourself a round of applause. All the hands are clapping. So, phew. All praying. Thank you, Luke. So that's a little sample of a second echo Zoom warm-up and placing. Luke, what did you love about that dance?
Well, I love just my house. Like dance in my house. Yeah, more, yeah. Yeah.
I totally hear you.
Yeah, I just love to dance in my own house again. Really, it's filled with joy, really, the joy, by being in very beautiful with the spirit of the sound in my house. I love my house. I really do. I love to dance. I love to act in my house. If what to cook in or technology really or play I all right just create the house. Really, I just love the house.
Beautiful. So the backstory for everybody, isn't it awesome to see somebody actually 8 weeks later loving being inside, or for some of us several months? The backstory is this is Luke's first day back in his house. He spent the last, how many weeks, Luke? 8 or 9 weeks?
8 weeks.
8 weeks back with the rents. The rentals have had control. So he's finally allowed back for just a couple of days a week. So it's a very exciting time, which basically brings me very well, Luke. Thank you. That was a really nice crossover to the next kind of little game we want to play with you. In that we were having this conversation as the ray whatever it is, the 3-step plan, the coming back conversation started. And we were talking with our members and our colleagues there about how we were feeling about that. We do that a lot in Second Echo. We're really interested in how we're feeling and where, you know, what the body is feeling in response. So we were talking about how we feel at home and are we bouncing off the walls, or are we ready to go back out of our home, and where is the freedom and where is the safety in relationship to those two places. And it was actually fascinating. We had a conversation with one of our artists, Charlie, who just was really passionate at the beginning of a session and talking about the cruise ships and the crew of the cruise ships and who is taking care of them and why are they still on the boat? Why aren't they allowed off the boat? And, you know, that it was, and how wrong it was for him. And we went through a whole series of kind of conversations and dances about this and came up with potentially the development of a new work called The Titan Princess, where the Titanic meets the Ruby Princess, told from the perspective of the crew on Zoom, all still trapped in the portholes of the ship, and what that would feel like and who has to go down with the ship and who's allowed off the ship. And then the conversation moved from there to being, well, is it safer on the ship or is it safer on land? If we're on a ship, don't we feel free because you're on the ocean? But at this point, it's not. So it's always so much conflict. So we sent people away into groups to consider this and to talk amongst themselves and find their dance, which, you know, the dance for us is movement or not to music or not. That's our definition of dance. So basically, it's an intent to communicate or create. It can be dance for us. So the intent is then to consider inside the square right now, if we take this as being your home, outside of the square or at the edges of it, your re-entry into the COVID world. As we have acknowledged for most of our community, there's no such thing as post-COVID, or at least not yet. There is no way back, there's only a way forward, and how are we going to do that and how are we going to feel? So we looked at what dances we would be doing inside or outside and where we felt safe. So I put this to the group, and most people said, yeah, get me out of here. My freedom, give me my freedom. I want to be outside of my square. One beautiful artist, Elise, said, no, I'm in the square. My freedom's here, because here I am safe. It's not safe out in the world. It's not safe with COVID and the virus. And I hadn't clocked that at all, that there is still a large percentage of our population who is, you know, this is free, actually. They're here free for the first time in this, because they are completely safe. No one is judging, no one is questioning, putting them at risk. So that's the first dance I'm going to challenge you to consider and to make. So if, Simon, if you want to send us into some groups, and always with Second Echo, the provocations are as grey as possible. We encourage few questions because then you might be tied down by the answer. Start talking about the idea of where you find your freedom, what are the requirements for freedom, and then figure out how in this square or out of it, you might investigate that with your body or with a story.
Kelly, I think, give me back the hosting.
Oh, I sure can. More.
Please.
Definitely, you are now host. Change host. Boom.
Okay, we're going to breakout rooms. How long do you want for this, Kelly?
I don't think we need long because we want to come back and see that and then talk, you know, just a tiny bit more. So I would think, how do we think? 5 minutes, you can make a dance, can't you? So we're going to go in the order of who I can see, because in theory, I'm, you know,
Oh, they've got plans.
don't know what's going on. So people who are in my group, everyone else, can you move away from your screen? You'll see it. Is that possible? Just enough so we can potentially find our group and we can find ourselves. If you're swiping, I'm sorry, you might swipe all the way through to see us all, but that's okay. So back up if you're not in my group, if you weren't in my breakout. Where is the rest of my team? I can't even find you. Cara, I found you. Thank you.
Hi.
Okay, yes, Nancy, there's Penelope. Okay, now your job, if you're not in my team, is to find us. And we're going to do this dance without music, only because I'm not hosting and I don't want to take all that time. So you can put your own music on in your house if you like and put it on mute. You can choose your own soundtrack. And we are going to move. Okay, are we ready, my team?
Totally.
On your marks.
Yep.
Get set. Go.
I love that Kelly is swirling around the room at the moment.
And scene. That means we're done. Awesome. Okay, that was our dance. We don't have time for huge critiques and understanding, but we're just going to let that all fall inside of you. And I'm now seeing, I'm now looking at Stephen Noonan. Do you have a group, Stephen?
No, I'm a late attendee, so my apologies.
Okay, so enjoy the performances.
Thanks.
Okay, how about Karen? Are you in a group?
Yes, I was, but then something happened and I moved out. But
oh, you just bounced back. Yes, whoever was with Karen, even though she so rudely left you, because that happens in Zoom all the time. If you were not dancing with Karen, just move to the edges a little bit so they have half a chance to find each other. Okay. And whenever you're ready, Karen's group, the 1 minute version of your dance. Go.
And then other people were the tree. I don't know. That's the as far we got.
That's great. I love it already. Oh, this. I have to join. So good. And scene. That was a good one. Beautiful. Dave Brown, do you have a group?
I do.
You do? Okay. If you're with Dave's group, on your marks, everyone else move back a little bit so we know you're not in it. Go. Oh, I love this.
Okay, that was it.
Oh, I felt like a massive hug. Thank you. Okay, Jennifer, were you in a group? Jennifer Tran? Was that?
Yes, I was.
Okay, great. Let's do Jennifer's group. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Scene! That is awesome! We actually did a great dance the very first time with Second Echo where we looked around and everyone had a piece of fruit. And so we just started with our mosaic of faces to try and pass the fruit from one square to another. And as so your hand would come in like that with a banana that turned into an orange. It was so fun. But that is beside the point. Sheree, how about your group? Apologies if I say somebody who's already performed. It's very difficult to tell names.
We've got a group.
Okay, here we go, Sheree.
Okay.
So have you got the hum?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Mom, stop saying.
Mum, stop singing that. That's probably the end.
I love that. The accidental performers. Oh, good. Okay, Where are we up to? Brooke, have you been in a dance yet?
Yes.
Okay. Nikita, have you been in a dance yet?
Oh, sorry, I haven't been in a dance.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, sorry, Brooke. Then let's do Brooke's group. Here we go.
Oh yeah, that's us.
Where? Oh.
Oh, we're different.
We were.
We're all pointing towards the center at the end, aren't we?
Oh, I love it.
That's nice.
Do you want some hair?
We're holding our collective center there somewhere.
I love it. So good. And there we find the challenge of reversing screens, where what we see or what we give in terms of right and left.
Yeah.
Really lovely. And we have a giggle soundtrack. I love it. Oh, so nice. Ew, I've got you and Nikita going finger to finger. That's amazing. And what I love here too is we are, you know, accentuating the fact that we all see a different performance. You know, where we think we create it for one eye or one viewpoint, but it's impossible. And here you see that, and you can really start to play with that. Luke, your group, please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Bella. Are you ready?
Well, we've already gone, Kelly.
I think, oh, you've already been? I missed Luke last time. Oh, let's do it again because I didn't look. Can we do it really quickly again?
I'm on Mr. too.
Yeah.
Okay, take two on Luke and Belle. Oh, this is the birds. Okay, I love this one.
Yeah.
One more time. Off you go.
Oh, I've got another one.
Okay, good.
That's fine. You don't want to mix up another work. Another work in this. Running through as well, so it's either going to be the blacks and the bronzes as the metal.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I could even be the voice because I remember this. I remember the curry. Yay! Okay, and Luke's hand. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Which group has not had a chance to go yet? Who have I missed? Lily? Okay, let's do Lily's first. Here we go. If you were dancing with Lily.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh. That's it. So beautiful. Oh, thank you. Really, really beautiful. Okay, who else haven't we heard from or seen from? Any other group? Catherine? Are you putting your hand up? Let's do Catherine's group. Beautiful. The sound of the plants was just breathtaking. The breath and the wind. Who else? Do we have any more groups? Anyone? Call out if you've got a group, or have we seen them all? I feel like we're pretty close if we haven't. Fantastic. Such amazing work. We have 3 minutes remaining. A few things that I thought about as we were doing that that I didn't mention earlier. I think it was Cara was mentioning about the freezing. And we have another whole warm-up called a freeze frame, which of course is done to the song Freeze Frame, where as you get lost or someone on your screen get bellowed up it really well, that we find those minutes, those spaces between being frozen, and that is your dance. So you can, if you see someone frozen, you have to stay with them until they move again, and then you can join, and then you get to fill the gaps between that and enjoy the failure. The same thing musically, allowing that to be part of the dance and trying to open up the failure spaces. And you go, what could have happened in those parts where we couldn't see, and making a dance just between those two moves and telling the whole story and like drawing it out to an epic length is also a really fun one. So we have spent most of our time in isolation with these kind of practices, exploring, playing, moving ourselves where we are and in the time that we are. Of course, like many of us, we had a whole annual program that has been suspended or postponed indefinitely. And that's also been fascinating. And I think something, you know, in another time perhaps, or to discuss, of keeping some of them going in this place has been extraordinarily interesting in that, I mean, there was one, Luke's Project for Change, should have been installed at GASP in Glenorchy in April. It would have been in, out and over by now. But instead, once a week, we're still getting together just to talk about it, to move with it. So the project has gone into this deep, deep dive, which it would not have had the opportunity to do if we'd been on the production schedule. So in this thought experiment where we can't realize it, we can't install it, and it doesn't matter if we imagine things impossible, but then follow them, undoing and following the actual image of the show itself, the chain links, has been a beautiful reminder of how long we should give ourselves to create work, how long sometimes it needs. Yeah. Yes, Luke.
And I also find in a folder I did, my folder, about the chain and stuff though. I did though, because they in the folder of my chain when I find all the maps. No, I did know.
Oh, for the GASP, excellent.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful that we haven't even been referencing them. We haven't been referencing the site as a form that we had to solve, but the concept as a thing to discover and to realize has been beautiful. The last tip that I have in the 30 seconds remaining is that idea of I heard about it in one of the Australia Council sessions. I'm sorry, I forgot to write down the guy's name, but I'll find it and message it to you. That idea of what are we, as we emerge back or go forward into a COVID world, what are we keeping from before? What are we now growing because we have had an opportunity to, whether it be a deep dive, whether it be that when Second Echo go anywhere, not only 2 now, we should have 3. We should have a leader, a demonstrator, and a witness to help feed back into that. Can we take that forward into the studio? And in order to bring these new things into our pie of our practice, what are we going to let go of? What do we realize now that we didn't actually need, or perhaps was not serving exactly what we wanted to make or how we want to make it? And they're the questions we are going through. And also another of Luke's projects is the bridging. How are we within our vulnerability, both as artists and having to deal with what it is to be that vulnerable, and now suddenly getting close contact with each other and with this time? How are we going to build a bridge? What is our practice going to become so that we can get on the bridge from our home back into studios, to theatres, to galleries, to concert halls, and move safely with the risks that we know we have to undertake to create the work that we do? So that's another project that we've got on the go. That's us. It is 10:56. Go.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm going to thank you on behalf of everybody.
Thank you.
Luke and Kelly, thank you. Fantastic session. Now, we're going to have another presentation after, but I'm actually going to suggest there was so much in there just around, you know, embodied ways of working. What is the square? What's a better word than mute? Getting that physical connection to the screen, the sheer joy that we have with this new technology to bring the sheer power we have to bring joy into people's homes is quite an extraordinary thing. So many of us work, I think, with takeaway things that people can do when they go home. We actually go in their homes here, like with Luke there, and actually do that. So there's lots for people to think about and talk about. So I'm going to put everybody back into rooms. I think we'll stick with the same rooms because then you know the people and have a quick chat. Take this opportunity to just stand up and walk around, take a toilet break, get a glass of water, whatever. And when we come back, we'll go straight back into the next presentation. Should we be back? So we're going to go to the second half of this one. Settle yourselves down, comfy down. One of the key things around the way ArTELIER and the real focus of our program with ArTELIER is a reflective practice. So we really are not about inventing lots of new projects. We let artists work on those. The intention of our project is to really reflect quite deeply on how and the way we work. And that's the main focus of the ArTELIER program. So, and the artists that we work with, all the 46 artists across the state, are all from different disciplines, all work with different ages and different age groups. So they're all very different. So the second presentation today by Beck and Sheree. Sheree works with a Little Red Art Shed, her own company that presents work with very young children and families. And Beck is an independent artist, and Beck has been working with Sheree and working in an observer role largely, I think. Anyway, I will hand over to Sheree and Beck, who are going to do a presentation. There'll be time at the end of this again to go into breakout rooms, have more discussion, and then we can probably all come back just for a real kind of final completion before we finish. And we plan to finish at around 12 o'clock. So I'm going to hand over Sheree and Beck to you guys to introduce yourselves and go.
Where are you, Beck?
Yeah, can you see? I can see you.
Yeah. Simon, just a technical thing. With our screen sharing, how can I do that through here? Just because it was, again, it's giving me the disabled attendee.
I will make you the host.
Look out.
Just put it back to me after.
Okay. All right. Bear with me. Okay, this is the first time I've done this, so let's see how we go. Sorry. I'm not sure what everyone else can see, but here we go.
Yeah, I think we're all seeing that clearly.
Okay, so without saying too much, we'll just start with this.
Interesting to see how that interaction and connection can be built via this platform. It's really bizarre, isn't it? Like, I feel like I need to reach into the screen. I really miss that face to face. Yeah, it's different. Yeah. And it is what it is. So we're just having to work with it, aren't we? It's just something new. It's a varied experience, isn't it?
So it's a very different experience, isn't it? I think Beck's observations there just completely sum up where we're at the moment. And embracing it, I think, is a creative opportunity to be able to reflect on our practice and our processes, and considering, you know, our adaptations, if we want to adapt, to move forward in this time of change. You have to bear with me. This is my first time presenting this, and I'm just trying to get my speaker notes up. Simon, are you able to help me at all here?
I don't think I can actually, Sheree. No. Ad lib. I think it's quite tricky having two screens running, with one with notes and one without, unless somebody else can help with that.
Sorry, I'm using.
Also, can you share screens with other people, maybe?
Yeah, thanks, Luke. I've got everyone there. I'm just trying to see my notes, but if you just bear with me, I'll just open it on my iPad and we will embrace a creative resolution to hopefully being able to share with you. Technical issues.
Maybe I'll just say a few words while Sheree's looking for that. So just as a background, in Sheree's first slide, she's run a business for a while called the Little Red Art Shed, which just before the COVID time was operating from a studio in the city centre of Hobart, on the top floor of a big office complex. And so she had a beautiful thing called the Red Shed in there, which was a sort of an internal, which you saw in the first, let me know when you're ready to go, Sheree. Beautifully constructed cubby kind of space for children very young children under 5 to go into and explore and play with process and paint and texture and all sorts of material. And so she was working very closely with groups of children, and a very tactile experience. Like, I was sharing a studio just up a few doors up, and I'd often come out and see these kids just covered in paint, and the mum, parents covered in paint. But yeah, Sheree, are you ready to, that's a little intro for you. Sheree, have you got your notes up?
I have. Thanks, everyone. It's such a big learning curve, this online thing. I just wanted to really sort of open around introducing Beck and myself as artists who are passionate about our individual creative practices, and also in coming together collaboratively as part of ArTELIER Tasmania, and being able to offer opportunities for young children and families to engage and connect in the creative processes of art through what we call creative encounters. So today we're really wanting to be able to share with you our exploration that we've been involved with 3 very keen families, embracing this creative opportunity and the challenges of this time and this change that has offered us for as artists to reflect on our practice and our processes, and also in supporting parents to be able to engage in some creative experiences in their own homes. Oh. So the shed, I guess a little bit, big thank you for the introduction. The Little Red Art Shed is an offering to young children and families and opportunities to experience art as a process of play, and we call them art play dates. Facilitated in what I was hoping would be an imagination igniting cubby house style art studio, and we use a lot of varied art mediums, themes around paint, sensory and spray, for example, where we a lot of it's messy. We do nature's way, making clay and nature's own paints and materials, through to there's a photo in the middle there which was for the Taste of Tasmania, where we created a special theme around the taste and Play-Doh and natural paint pigments and naturally made materials. I guess the why around the intention around the shed is to aiming to inspire and nurture curiosity, and creativity and connection. That's my practice is centered around those 3 key beliefs and elements, and engaging in the creative process. So the value of arts as a process over an outcome, and just enjoying that process of play. We used to pop up at various different events around Tasmania, around Hobart. And then I was working out of a studio just prior to actually the COVID-19 change, where I decided to actually go back to being more of a mobile offering, out of the back of my van and being able to be outside again. We were up on the 10th floor, which was amazing. We had a beautiful view of Kimnani, but it just, needed some fresh air. So that was the decision made there. So going online, I guess the intention was to be able to recreate this creative play space with a vibe of re-engaging creativity in families' homes, and using our technology. So the shed was set up just in my backyard. We used the technology that we had on hand and experimenting with different cameras, iPads, and in the rain, in the backyard. So it's been an experiment around how to actually do it very simply from home. From the family's end, it was about immersing the connection and creative space in the home. So we used the idea of the cubby house and using recycled cardboard boxes and creating little structures that were hand delivered to the homes, and were able to be set up really easily. I'll just flick through some of these. So a simple the magic of a cardboard box, and created these small immersive spaces. It was able to be deliverable, so it was working out how that could pack down really simply with some basic kit materials for parents to be able to easily set it up in their own space. It involved little deliveries, a little red van, which was fabulous because it got me out and about too. I loved it, listening to podcasts and doing my little deliveries and leaving little surprises on the doorsteps. It was just, it was a lovely process. So each week we would talk about the previous week and what we might like to play with the next week, and then there'd be a little delivery. And we've also looked at technologies and different platforms that we've been experimenting with too. Whoops. Sorry, I just bumped my mouse. So this stage, so that was the preparation. It was about creating I guess two worlds, the facilitation side, the technology, and then the families in their homes, and bringing those together through that digital platform. So this is where we really got into the flow of things. And Beck, I'd love to bring you in now to discuss that, the challenges in our learnings, and we'll just flick through some photos and some videos.
Sure. Do you want to show one of the videos first to give people a sense of the actuality of it in that video time? It's really helpful, I think.
I'll do the green crown.
Yeah, yep.
I can see it now. What colour is this one? Ready? Let's show you it. What's that? No, that one. Try and get it to. Can you find the same colour? Green, 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 green. I've got a different. I've got green too. I've got another green. Can you test it out on your paper? Green, 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 green.
Beautiful. Hey Simon, I've just got something to share as well. Sheree, can we swap hosts and then come back to Sheree's photos? Or Sheree, do you want to pop through some more photos first? It seems like it's easy to flick between the hosting. Yeah. Simon, can you just pop me as host for a second?
No, Sheree has to do that because she's now host. Just click up on the right-hand side of Beck's screen, and you can say make host.
And Beck's screen.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
that's cool, isn't it? Sorry, everyone. Okay. So now, sorry guys, bear with me, but I just wanted to show here we go. I just wanted to share this. So
Sheree's, I'm still seeing Sheree's.
Yeah. Okay. So part of the beauty we found of Zoom is that because this was a very new terrain, moving from the very tactile real world to the online, Simon and I were supporting Sheree to make those steps and just observing really. So I, as part of the reflection, I think you guys can see this screen of, it's just my notes to, so I documented what she was doing in her process, and the kids talking as a reflection on that process and to assist in our learning. And so also I just wanted to introduce quickly that through ArTELIER we've set up for the artists involved, we've been working on this reflection framework. So Sheree and I, we often use this. So 1, the intention and the offer; 2, the flow and response; 3, the confrontation, surprises and transformations; and 4, post-session. So Sheree and I were going to work through part of that in this next part of the conversation. So in terms of our reflective process, these are a sort of a set of prompts really that have helped us to kind of dissect what's happening and then to build on that. So that's been a beautiful process of I found just observing and having to start with. I had my camera on in the process so everyone could see me, but then the following sessions I had my camera off so the kids couldn't see me. So Sheree, do you want to flip back to you now, and we can keep going on with that slide? Make host, there you go.
There we go.
Great.
Thanks, Beck.
Pleasure. And so do you want to bump into, once you're sharing your images, do you want to bump into that the confrontations and surprises that have come through this process and transformations that's on our...
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in terms of what some of the things that we found from that reflection and from being able to observe, both Simon and I, we found that the beauty of Zoom was that you'd finish your session and then we could go straight into a reflection and straight into feedback. And also by taking those notes and observations, for me, that one of the things that we could really reflect on was the change in Steph's experience with Arthur, and that in the first session she was concerned about him using the spray bottle in his mouth, and the framework of suddenly becoming the co-creator with the child was a little challenging. To then, for me, for the third session, she was picking up Arthur and using him as a stamp, and there's this fantastic exchange of co-creation with the parents. So I just wondered, Sheree, if you want to talk about that that transformation that's happened over the time that you've begun this through to now.
Yeah, it's been an amazing process with Steph, and we've had discussions around, she's been an introvert, and the comfort that I guess that she has now in home with Arthie, and that little structured space is a containment for her as well to enable these creative experiences to be manageable. It's just inside her kitchen, and you can see some images there of Steph has just kind of unraveled in herself as well over the weeks and has really let go, where she's reinventing tools, and she's been making these beautiful potato stamps, and I feel like we've helped her ignite something there in her own self, which has just been beautiful, like a ball. She brought in this sort of noduled ball and started bouncing it around, and it did actually end up going into the house at the end of the session, but luckily it was at the end. And using Arthur as a human stamp, and then he's used his mum as a human canvas. So we've had these little moments of laughter in this space, and she's just really embraced the engagement. Whereas when we're in the studio-based situation, I guess the shift has been that the parents are actually engaging so much more in the process, because they're the touch, they're the everything there. So yes, that's been an amazing transformation, even for parents, for the carers as well. So it's just been fascinating.
Just moving through those questions as well, what were the, in terms of the challenges and the learnings for you, what do you feel like some of those things? I know that the tech challenges you seem to overcome really quickly and move through. I was really impressed with how you have, you've had 2 cameras on the space and you've had that ability to adapt really quickly. So I just wondered what your thoughts on your challenges and learnings.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. We started with Zoom and as our initial platform. And the beautiful thing about ArTELIER and collaboration and sharing our processes, discovered Bluejeans through Kelly and Luke. So I tested that out and I love it. It's just a beautiful platform for the smaller group numbers, and the simplicity of the platform seems to be friendlier. Zoom has quite a corporate kind of vibe about it, if you like, and the Bluejeans is just very friendly. So I've only used that once, but I'm excited to be exploring that a little bit more as well. Yeah, I just it's just been an amazing process of just open exploration and conversation, and a beautiful sharing, and it's been this beautiful mutual journey. Sorry, I'm flicking through these the wrong way, where the sharing has been in the joy of the process. And we've been like posting, like using those old ways of communication, posting little things with actual photos of, you know, the journey for the families, and for the kids to actually receive something in the mailbox. And actually the highlight of Artie's week, according to Steph, is that he just gets so excited because something's been left at the front door, and it's, you know, he's just, yeah. And we've also working with Kathy and her 2 children, Flossie and Henry, who's a baby, and she's got him in a little baby pack. And again, the highlights for them are little things like, you know, getting something in the mailbox. They were quite excited and animated to receive those. And then the families are actually sharing the joy as well. It's a post here that Kathy posted about ISO life. You know, it's just this beautiful, it's been this beautiful journey. Yeah.
Just in terms of that sort of what Simon was saying before, that sense of also being able to be right within people's homes. We've spoken about how that's something that you've wanted with for a long time, and these kits and placing that activity within the home has been a real positive from this whole experience. Do you want to talk about that a little bit in terms of your in terms of as Kelly was saying, there's things that from this whole time, there's things that we will really take out of this and run with. Yeah, you've spoken about that desire to be more embedded within people's homes, and how this has facilitated that.
I guess one of my intentions in my practice has always been very passionate about the experiences being shared back into the family's homes in some way. So this is, and I love Kelly's wording around creating bridges, and I love today how, Kelly, you spoke about the bridge coming out of COVID and people coming back into the live performances and things, and I love it too, because I actually see it as a bridge going into people's homes now as a way forward with my practice and my offerings in the Little Red Art Shed and working with children and families. The bridge has actually been opened into the homes. It's actually become an easier process, like to immerse and to embed the opportunities for these experiences to be embodied into ways of life at home. I think it's a really exciting thing.
And it's one of those things within ArTELIER as well that we've been working on the START program for quite a while, and the importance of the parent-child relationship and fostering that sense of co-creation is big on our agenda. And for me, I feel like that's quite a potentially quite a political kind of act in some ways, and I see it more and more as that, because the parents, it really is such an amazing opening if there's any resistance to that idea of creativity, so that the parents get that strong sense of the value of creativity, and and as you say, Sheree, that embodied sense of it. And I think that step of bringing it into their homes is just quite extraordinary. And I'd love to see how this, we've had conversations last week about the potential of the kits, and where, how you roll out that kind of thing in a broader sense in different communities. So I think there's such a lot of potential in what you've uncovered here.
I love this little video. I'd love to share it, because it's just, it's been adapting to change, but it's also about the beautiful connections during this time too. Anyway, I'll play this for you. I love it. Let's see if I can get it to play.
We're out of here. Okay. So bye, Sheree. Bye. Thanks, bye, Flossie. Bye, Flossie. Good boy. And bye, Kathy. Bye, Kathy. And bye, Henry. Bye, Henry. Good boy. And don't forget Beth. Bye, Beth. It was Beth hiding. She's on the other straight. He's there. Go on. Bye, Beth. There she is. Bye-bye. Bye, Monica. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Yeah, well, it's good to see you guys. You too. Thanks, Steph. We'll be in touch. Bye, Cubby. See ya. Bye.
They just light my heart. Just, yeah, very heartwarming. So our reflective practice that we work with ArTELIER around has been a really valuable asset for my reflecting and growing and collaborating. The value of it has just been immense personally. And having the support of other artists in the process to help deal with the challenges and help to grow the learnings, again, is an integral part to this entire experience. And having Beck there as an observer and also documenting, it just gives you that another perspective to be looking in on the process of what's happening in that space. So these are just an example of Beck's write-ups that she did for us at the end of every session, picking out those pivotal, crucial little quotes and little things that you don't always capture when you're facilitating. And my questions for reflection, which sit on the front of my computer. So that's the basis that we work from with that. Beck, did you want to talk more to that area around the...
Well, I think we're sort of, in terms of our time frame, we're kind of running out of time, and I think we've got to go into our breakout groups.
Okay.
So just to keep things on track, so we've got time for some questions afterwards. But yeah, I guess we thought in terms of a provocation for people to go into a breakout group that we were wondering, or it's a provocation about how you reflect on your processes, and whether this has assisted in adapting to the changes that are happening now, and what your practices, how your practice has shifted. So we were thinking the breakout groups could be a sharing of that practice, and in terms of reflection and adaptation. Did you want to add anything to that, Sheree?
No, I think it's just, yeah, I'd love to be able to chat.
Yeah. So maybe now if we have 5 minutes breakout and then come back for Q&A afterwards. Simon, are you able to facilitate, or the breakout?
Send me back the host and I can do that. I think that was great. Thank you. I mean, there's several points I might just throw in as well from that. About the two worlds is an interesting point. That opportunity for observers obviously is pretty crucial, which we don't normally have. I think that notion of the bridging into the home is a really interesting point. And I just think it's really interesting to hear from practitioners talk about how they're adapting and what good it's done for you and your practice, actually, both of you. I think it's really interesting to hear that. We hear a lot about the participants, but sometimes not as much about the artist's experience. So I am going to go into rooms. Do you think 5 minutes, or we could do, what have we got?
I think 5 is
okay.
Good.
Thank you, Nikita. We lost you there.
It's so jolting.
Right, everybody is back. That was great. So, Sheree, Beck, do you want to field some questions from people? Or some comments? Does anybody want to show their hand and give a comment for the whole group, perhaps for Sheree? I think at the time we're at, to be honest, it could be for Sheree, Kelly, Luke, or Beck on today. We've really got a few left. So excuse me if I don't see you straight up because I've got 2 screens, but I think the thing to do is just unmute and ask the question.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Go for it.
I've got a question for Sheree. Are those groups you're working with just one cubby house at a time, or have you got different backyards with different cubby houses on different little squares?
Yeah, hi Robin. We initially start the sessions with 2 or 3 families at the same time, but the natural progression of how it all pans out, some of those video captures were once some families had peeled away. So normally it's sort of 2 or 3, and I've found 3 families with all our, not muted obviously, is probably a good balance. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's okay. Thanks for your question.
A bit of a technical question to Sheree. You mentioned the Bluejeans app, and how that's more suited for kids than Zoom. Can you maybe give a little bit more detail? I mean, I could research it, but just a quick overview of the comparison.
Sure, Jennifer. Actually, Kelly might be great to speak to the Bluejeans in comparison. Kelly, would you? Because I've only used it once, so Kelly's sort of gone between it.
We have gone back and forth and around. I really wanted Bluejeans because for only $10 a month, you can have unlimited. So it was a financial thing, but also, as Sheree was saying, the platform is a lot softer, and it has the disabled sound, but it doesn't have all the microphones, it doesn't have all the lines through it. So visually, it's a little kinder. But also you can, even at that very base level membership, you can put your branding in it. So there is, people go to, Second Echo Ensemble. That's the name of it. It's not a random number. You don't have to put passwords in, but it's enterprise-based, so it's still safe. And we went there at the beginning before Zoom had sorted out their security because they were getting too many Zoom bombs. And again, with our population or with children, you need to make sure that you are safe online. So that was our initial, and we were there for about a month. But then we did one large workshop and realized that you can only ever see 9 videos at a time. You can't see, you can have 25, 30, 50 people on, but only 9 people will be visible. And that is something which is why their quality of audio and video is so good, because they limit how much bandwidth can be used. But for us, that didn't work. I need to be able to see everybody's body at all times. So at the moment, and they also haven't got their music sharing quite up to scratch yet. You can share your screen. That is something you have to ask for as an add feature. But when you do that, you can't just do sound. So you actually lose the vision of everybody. So they can't see you while you're even just playing music. So that is something that they're also, we were, you know, been with the help desk a lot. They're working on those 2 things. But if either of those things you don't need, then, you know, I highly recommend it. They're really lovely. They're very responsive at the help desk. But we've suspended our membership right now until they can get those things in place and gone back to Zoom, where we can see everybody and have easy music. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I got a question myself. No, to the Sheree, you know, please, because now what I'm doing in as well. Now when she mentioned the flex in stuff though. Now this is what I'm doing as well. No, I'm working with mirrors. I am with that no from my project and it'd be good if that be allowed to be work with her with that, please.
Sorry, Luke. So the project you're working on, you'd like to work with us on?
Because I'm working with because I'm with my project now. I am working with mirrors. I am
mirrors.
Yeah, Luke is talking a lot about reflection, and so bringing in a lot of different materials and mediums. Mirrors has become a big part of it. And when you get the mirrors and the screens, especially, you know, in this kind of workshopping time, the forever loop, whatever that's called. What is it called? The infinity, right, Luke? So there's that, and just looking, I think, you know, again, with your reflective kind of process that you and the team there, Beck, have been working on, could be really fascinating for Luke to observe or to, you know, have a conversation with you about how that would.
Fabulous. And Luke, we quite often use paint on the surface of a mirror as a playing platform. So there's lots of creative potential there. Love to. That would be fabulous.
I'm going to step in there. That's a great moment, and I love to see these connections happen, and I hope some mini connections happened in the breakout rooms. Thank you, everyone, for participating, for the generosity from the presenters, for ArTELIER for organising today and hosting everything. Thank you so much. Can we just give a bit of a round of applause to everyone to feel good about that? Thank you so much. The next Shifting and Stirring is going to be hosted by Agua. Lily, can you wave? Are you still here, Lily? Lily is waving. Lily is, for those of you who don't know Lily Blue, she is now based in WA at Agua, but she also ran Big Kids and worked at the Sydney Opera House as a teaching artist as well. She will be hosting the next Shifting and Stirring on the 2nd of June, Tuesday the 2nd of June. We're going to do a bit of reflecting and working out what that is. A survey will go out to everyone, so we'd love to hear your feedback on what you think would be good for this session, what was working, what wasn't, what kind of made you excited. And we'll get all those details out beginning next week, and I'll shoot you all an email so you can book in for the next one. Sometimes at the end of these facilitation sessions, I think it's nice to have a moment just to offer a word out. So if everyone can just have a moment to think about a word that might kind of describe what they're feeling right now or what they've gathered from this group. To everyone to unmute and find a moment. It's going to be very much that kind of improvised moment. It could be chaotic, but let's have a go. And I will start. Joyous.
Bridge.
Inspired.
Hopeful. Reassuring.
Connected.
Invigorated.
Linked.
Participatory.
Bridging.
Embodied.
Excited.
Possibilities.
Inspired.
Full.
Together.
Reflecting.
Changing.
Transformation.
Generosity.
Confidence.
Seen and heard.
Unified.
And with that, we'll say goodbye. If anyone wants to stick around for a chat, they're welcome to. But thank you, everyone, and we'll see you hopefully at another one soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was
Bye,
awesome.
everyone.
Thank you.